What a nice day in my Swedish studio, just enjoying myself and no traumatic experiences as far as the eye can see. Ooh, the trauma! Ooh. Oh no, it's a scary traumatic ghost. My non-traumatic day has been flabbergastingly ruined. Fuck! Well, good evening, laddies, lasses, and lasses. Welcome to the click. You smell absolutely astounding today. And don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. I know exactly what y'all are thinking. You're thinking,
click. For being a piece of trauma, Ghost Mango looks really cute.
And that is why on this channel we have a saying. You cannot spell trauma without mwah. Trauma. It's absolutely beautiful. Make sure to buy your own little piece of cute trauma in the description today. Yes, indeed. Speaking of trauma, there is a beautiful subreddit on Reddit called r/TraumatizeThemBack, which is all about handing it right back to bullies or mean people or Karens or what have you. And I figured we would dig into some of the juiciest stories together. So just sit back, relax, and let Papa Click deliver some of that sweet subreddit juice. That didn't sound as bad in my head as when I said it out loud. Oh god, don't click off the video, please. Enjoy. This is why you're not honest when people ask you what you work with when you're a YouTuber. Dear God. r/TraumatizeThemBack. Karen thought men shouldn't be at Disney without children, so my brother told her why his kid isn't there. I, F28, grew up working class, with many years of my childhood being beneath the poverty line. My parents, M56 and F57, always met our needs and tried to minimize the impact on our upbringing. Both of my parents are extremely into Disney films, so my brother Eric, M22, and I made it a goal of ours to take them on a Disney cruise as a thank you for the sacrifices they had made for us, going hungry so that we would eat enough, etc. That's like how you know it's real parents. They actually put their kids first. That is so beautiful. I hope you all have it easier nowadays because they sound like really nice, wholesome people. When we had our own money, we surprised them with it this year. My wife and I are child-free, and my brother Eric lost his daughter to SIDS 2 years ago. So this trip was just us 5 adults. Eric is bisexual, paints his nails, and has the British version of the gay voice. Karen, a mid-30s American woman in the cabin next to Eric's, took an issue with him. She saw him leaving the cabin on his own as she was going to her cabin with her children. She shooed her kids into the cabin before asking Eric what he was doing there, and he replied that he was on holiday with his parents. She blocked his path and accused him of perving on his young son, because why else would someone like you be here? Eric told Karen that he's here with his family for a holiday and that he would never look at a child in that way, but she shouted that he's obviously perverted and he shouldn't be there if he doesn't have children. And someone has been watching a bit too much like Fox News or Equal Trash in the Americas, haven't they? My god, Karen, chill out. The man is just painting his nails, for God's sake. Jesus Christ. Eric shouted back, I would have brought my daughter, but the church was reluctant to exhume her coffin for a Disney trip. Karen was stunned into silence for a moment before huffing and going into her cabin. Man, the absolute audacity of these kind of people. Like, you have someone that is going on this cruise with their family, have literally lost a child, and then you have a Karen going up and like, oh my god, you're probably just here to prey on people. Like, maybe just leave people be. There isn't even any reason for concern. Like, if they had been like creeping after your kids or being sussy with the phone camera or something, like, sure, let them have it. But this is obviously just someone minding their business. My god, Karen. I am so sorry for your family's loss of the baby. It is a profound loss felt by all, but especially the parents. Your brother is a badass with that response. Let him know he is an amazing human being, and with that response alone, would have been an amazing father had his baby lived on. I do hope your family and the brother gets to heal from that. That is an experience I can't even fathom what it must be like. That sounds so absolutely awful. And I also hope that Karen learned her lesson. Even if she doesn't have the spine to actually apologize for it, I do hope it embarrassed her enough where she won't do it again. That's the least you can wish for in these situations. My friend is dying, Karen. I just came across this sub, and it seems like the perfect place to rant about an incident that still makes my blood boil to this day. Back in high school, my friend group included this guy who had a terminal illness. He was at the point where his doctors were shocked he was still alive. Aside from being skinny and a bit pale, he looked like any average teenager. He had his good days and his bad days, but even on his good days, he would tire easily. He didn't talk much about his illness and tried to be normal like everyone else. For example, he would talk about the college he wanted to attend and what career he wanted. We respected that and never brought up his illness. He had a placard, so we would always park in handicapped spots. As you can imagine, we often got dirty looks when a bunch of seemingly healthy teenagers piled out of the car. Our friend ignored the looks, so we never said anything to these judgmental people. One weekend, we all decided to go to the amusement park. After an hour or so, he started getting tired. So we got him one of those loaner wheelchairs. Like the teenagers we were, we took turns doing stuff like pushing him really fast and doing wheelies, but we were careful not to bother anyone else. I remember him laughing his ass off. That is until a Karen shouted at us from like 30 feet away.
You know you're keeping that wheelchair from someone who might actually need it, don't you?
I looked at my friend and his smile instantly disappeared. I was done. Effing done. So I marched over to her knowing exactly what I was going to say after biting my tongue so many times. I didn't raise my voice so my friend wouldn't overhear what I said. I am sorry, ma'am, but I'm sure you'll be happy to know my friend has a terminal illness and his doctors say he could die any moment now. So someone else will be able to use the wheelchair very soon. She got all red in the face and said,
Well, how was I supposed to know that?
I replied, you weren't, because it's none of your effing business. So thank you for reminding my friend he's dying when he was having so much fun. I turned around and walked back to my friends. He made it another 2 years after that. Jay, I still miss you, bro. That is such a wholesome memory, minus the Karen, of course. That could definitely be considered like a little rain cloud on an otherwise blue sky, I suppose. But it's so nice that you actually got to have these memories with your friend and they got to experience so much fun despite everything. That is beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. I hope you treasure these memories, and I hope the Karen learned their lesson. This is something I see happening so often when people get super huffy about, for example, handicap spots. But people seem to either forget or aren't aware of that a lot of disabilities aren't particularly visible. A lot of people have, for example, joint issues or pain or what have you, when you're not literally in a wheelchair all the time, but you have a very, very limited amount of distance you can walk before stuff starts hurting really bad. Hence, parking in the handicap spot that is close to stuff is incredibly helpful. People are incredibly presumptuous. You could make the argument, of course, that this Karen was like thinking that she was in the right. You know, oh, I'm standing up for disabled people because I thought someone stole a wheelchair or whatever. But in reality, I think people, especially when they act so unpleasantly without actually knowing what the person is about that you're attacking, aren't really doing it to be a good Samaritan. I think they just want to yell at someone and feel justified in doing so. So they pick these sort of targets, and oftentimes it backfires because they have a valid reason to use the thing they're using. God darn, Karen, calm down and try to be an actual good person. Shite. Woman banging on the handicap bathroom stall door, demanding I tell her what I was doing. What answer is she expecting? What are you doing on the toilet? Should I describe in great detail about the dookie I'm squeezing out? Is that what you want? Should I send a picture? Edit, just to add a detail that I forgot so people stop being upset about us driving 2 hours away for a store. I had a doctor's appointment. I didn't mention this in the original post because it's irrelevant to the story. I hope it's okay to share this here, because I'm not sure if it fits on the sub. A few years ago, my boyfriend drove me to Seattle, which is a 2-hour drive, and we went into a Trader Joe's because we don't have one even remotely close to where we live. I have no gallbladder, so I needed to rush to the bathroom. This is TMI, but I was in a lot of pain because I was backed up, but still needed to hurry to the bathroom. I had fainting episodes from having bowel movements because I was anemic, so I chose the big handicap stall because if I started fainting, I would have space to lie down. I know, gross, but I don't care. I mean, at that point, I'm not sure if you have that much choice, to be honest. If you have to lie down, you have to lie down. Rather lay down on a semi-gross floor than like smack your head into a wall. So yeah, if those are the options, definitely the better one. This, what sounded like a woman, maybe in her early 60s, starts banging on the stall door, yelling at me, demanding I tell her,
What the F are you doing in there? Get out!
I had already started fainting also, holding on to something. I forget what it was, and I couldn't really think properly, and just told her to leave me alone. She started banging on the door, which terrified me, and yelling louder, asking me what the frick I was doing in there. It's a toilet. What do you think they're doing in there? I had something similar. Not a traumatize them back moment, but it was at some point, like during uni or something, when we were refilling toilet rolls or something like that at like a section hall, and someone asked like, "Oh, we're buying new ones again. What do they do with the toilet paper? Do you want me to like describe it or like?" I'm not sure if this question was really thought through. I think you know the answer. I had literally been in there for maybe a minute, so this was insane. After the last bang on the door, I yelled,
I am taking a poo, that's what I'm doing!
Whoever was with her sounded like they let out a giggle, and the older woman made this scoff noise like I'd shocked her.
Pearl clutching! Someone taking a poo? In a bathroom? Oh!
I remember feeling like my dad because he was quiet and didn't like conflict, but if someone kept poking at him, he would yell something kind of outrageous and it would make everyone laugh or shut up, lol. Okay, I could understand knocking on the door gently and be like, hey, how's it going in there, if it's been like 20 minutes, you know, and you really need to go to the bathroom and the person in front of you seems to take forever. Like sure, I can see that happening, but 1 minute in and making a scene about it and being like smacking on the door real hard and yelling. Usually if someone is sitting on the toilet, you know, that doesn't make it go faster. The serene relaxation of doing my business.
Are you done yet? Hurry up!
Ironically, that usually makes it go slower, and also now the person has to argue back with you instead of just finishing their business. Sometimes people do that. It's kind of funny. They spend their time causing a scene instead of letting you finish your thing, so it takes even longer. It's kind of ironic, isn't it? You want to keep recording me? Fine. Learn why I can't be on social media. I mean, to be fair, you should also be allowed to just not want to be on social media. I have very little social media outside of what I use for work, basically. For these reasons, I've had plenty of experiences in life when people are really like stalky and creepy and weird, or scammers and so on and so forth. And finally, I just had enough, and with YouTube being the thing it is, I figured it's probably a smart idea to not really have any personal social media. So I don't. Ironically, even though I literally work with it, I don't have personal social media. I have like my Instagram, which is basically workout pictures and cats. And that's about it. I don't have any personal social media for that reason. And it's not because I'm legally required not to. It's just because social media invites a lot of trouble that a lot of people are very unaware of, I think. Or they don't believe it really exists until it happens to them. Which of course doesn't justify it in any way, but yeah, you shouldn't have to have a legal reason to just say, nah, please don't take pictures of me, fam. I, 17F, am not allowed to be on social media whatsoever. I can't have videos of me up, photos of me, and if it's a group photo, my mom and I must know if it's a private group or not. To put it simply, my dad is a sociopathic child and every bad thing you can imagine. Oh my god. Anyways, my family has been able to get him into prison for 25 years, and hopefully he dies there. We have had a restraining order on him from my immediate family and extended family, and we're going to get one renewed as soon as I turn 18. Even though we have this restraining order, he still contacts us through people outside of the prison through email, social media, and physical letters. They're recruiting flying monkeys. That's fun. I've seen that happening before, when it's like, they're not technically contacting you themselves because either they're blocked or they legally can't, but then they like recruit other people who are so stupid, who either believe you are somehow in the wrong and you owe them contact, or they think they're like a knight in shining armor to swoop in and like save the relationship. I've had that happen once in my own experience with someone I had to cut out of my life, and it was a surreal experience. It was incredibly patronizing. It was wild. I think the term I like to use for it is like knight in shining armor syndrome. It's people who are really patronizing, who believe they can solve anyone else's problem by just stepping in and doing this thing, which is usually just really annoying, invasive, and patronizing, and they don't usually listen when you tell them what it's actually about and tell them to frick off. It's really wild. So yeah, those kind of people are really sucky, really sucky. Because of this, I am obviously not willing to put my face out there. Of course, idiots love to push your boundaries. At my high school, there's this boy named E who loves to film TikToks. He claims he is TikTok famous and that anyone in his videos will automatically be famous too. Pass. Well, one day he was recording something with his friends and going around and asking people questions. I tried to dodge him, but I guess that just made me more of a target. E came barreling up to me, got all up in my face and started spewing weird random questions. When he noticed I wasn't answering, he stopped the video and asked why. I simply said, I don't like being filmed. Not taking no for an answer, he kept pushing. I then said I'm not allowed to be on social media. He had the audacity to ask,
Why? Is it because you think you're ugly or something?
That pissed me off to no end, and in a fit of rage, I decided to let my whole traumatic backstory be known to the world. Well, I'm actually not allowed to be on social media because my father is a sociopathic freak who has a 25-year prison sentence for his own family, his children included. Because of him, my family had to go into hiding for months until the court ruled in our favor. And even then, we weren't safe. When my grandma accidentally posted, "My family has COVID," my dad got his buddies to contact us and plead with us to talk to him. He is so worried about the family he ruined, and because of that, I had to go through 8 years of counseling, 1 year off, and now I am back at it. Oh man, the look on his face was priceless. He was so unbelievably flabbergasted. His eyes were wide open and his jaw dropped in utter horror. Oh yeah, the first realization you have in life in your sheltered little experience that, maybe there's a reason someone is concerned about their privacy. Maybe shit happens actually. Oh my god, it's not just something in the movies. Oh my god. Not knowing what to say, he looked at his friends for help, but they were also completely shocked. After about 3 more seconds of pure shock and horror from his side, and a completely dead-faced look on mine, he meekly whispered, "I'm sorry," and walked away with his tail between his legs. That's what you get for prying into other people's business and not taking no for an answer. Butthole. I think one really good lesson that I learned with social media, especially being in a more professional setting and when you have a lot of eyes on it, is that you want to think through what you post because it's much harder to take something back than it is to try to scrub the internet of it, if that makes sense. A lot of the time it even has a bit of a Streisand effect. So thinking through what you want to put out there, how much privacy you want and that sort of thing before you start posting is a pretty good idea. That's a pretty smart thing to do because stuff on the internet, you say that not everything on the internet lasts forever, which is like a bit of a hit or miss depending on which type of media it is, but thinking through what you want to post, what level of privacy you want, and what you're willing to share and comfortable with other people seeing. Because keep in mind, if you have someone in your life, for example, that is creepy or obsessive or something like that, or an ex-partner, ex-anything really that has been overly obsessive and stuff, and you think about, would I be comfortable with this person seeing this and I don't know, gooning over it or something? And if the answer is no, then maybe don't post this publicly, for example, So it's good to think it through before posting because it's way easier to be preventive about social media stuff than trying to do something about it afterwards. My tattoo is in poor taste. Thanks for hating on my dead parents' memory. I, 24-year-old M, used to work at a hotel, mostly doing overnights. Almost a year ago, we lost my stepdad, and we lost my grandma 2 months after. My family wasn't and still aren't in the best shape. My mom, about a month after we lost my bonus dad, went to get a tattoo at a small memorial. I went with her, and since the artist was a friend of hers and had no more appointments, he took me as a walk-in to get something as well. My first tattoo. After a few days, I was at work one night and an elderly couple walked in. They were really nice until I went to hand them their room keys and my sleeve hitched up enough so that the woman saw my tattoo peeking out. She scoffed and pointed at it, saying,
"Oh, you really shouldn't have that in such a visible place. It's really in poor taste that kids these days keep damaging their bodies just because they think it's cool. That's actually pretty trashy."
Her husband looked over at it, as though he was used to hearing her run her mouth. But I was at a breaking point. It had just been a month since losing my bonus dad at that point, and my grandma wasn't looking too good either. So I put on the biggest smile I could, my eyes already slightly misty with tears, which freaked them out further, and told her, "I am sorry you think that, ma'am. However, you should know I got this just the other day because I lost my father last month to cancer, and it's not been easy." The woman looked mortified and her face went bright red in embarrassment, and the husband started apologizing. He grabbed their keys and started pushing her towards the elevator, quietly telling her,
"This is why we keep our opinions to ourselves, wife name."
For context, it wasn't even a big tattoo or any image. It's just a little line on my wrist that says JK Livin', because that was my bonus dad's motto. Even when he faced challenges and obstacles, he would just keep living, and I intend to do the same. I hope my tears made her feel lower than poo. I feel with oldies like this, their opinion about tattoos and stuff is also kind of outdated. They're concern, if you can call it that, might have been a thing like 40 years ago when, tattoos was deemed something like,
Oh my god, how are you supposed to get a job when you have a tattoo on your arm?
but it isn't really the same thing nowadays. It doesn't hold the same kind of stigma to it. So get with the times, I suppose, and also stop running your mouth about business you know nothing about. Probably a good idea. Yes, we're having an ice cream party. My cousin is dying. About 2 years ago, my cousin Kara died. And to make it a bit easier on the kids, we threw an ice cream party. I know how bizarre and unhinged that sounds, but we had recently had a lot of family members die over the past few years, and it was all weighing heavy on all our hearts to have one more go, especially before her time. We are also big believers on celebrating our loved ones and their lives. We still make time to cry and mourn, but we do things we know they would have loved. I swear if my funeral isn't a big party, I will haunt my children and siblings. That's a pretty nice attitude though. You want people that come after you to be happy. You don't want them to be miserable on your behalf forever. Of course, mourning is a very natural thing, but you want people to find each other. One thing when people pass away or when you go through tragedy is that it can bring family closer, and you're there for each other, and you process it together, and you laugh and you cry, and then you process it in hopefully a healthy manner. That is very beautiful. So, my mom calls us to tell us Kara's been pronounced brain dead, and all the kids have been crying for about 2 days now, worried sick about her. My mom comes up with the brilliant idea of getting all the kids together and having an ice cream social to bring their spirits up. And heck yeah, Kara would have loved that. My husband and I are the ones to go to the store to get all the ice cream. I look awful. I've been watching 8 kids for the past 2 days and it shows. I was so happy to go and get a break from them. I grab about 15 different ice cream flavors, ones we love, fancy ones, new ones, and about every topping in the aisle. Like 3 kinds of cones too. And I go to checkout.
Man, that sounds amazing. That sounds hell yeah. Hell yeah. This is like, in the math problems in school. It's like you go and you buy 15 liters of ice cream. How much? This is like a math example, but IRL. I love it. The line was longer than I liked, but it was the weekend and some Karen gets behind me immediately, and I can hear her whisper to her husband. I can't make out much of what she says, but I do hear ice cream, so I assume she was just, pointing it out to her husband to look. No big deal. I would probably do the same if I saw someone grab half of the ice cream in the aisle. I did notice she was doing it the entire time we were waiting. It's finally my turn, and I am being wrung out. The cashier says something about, "Oh, I must be really craving some ice cream," and I made some stupid joke about it being gone in one sitting. Very, very obvious it was a bad joke, if you could even call it that. Lol. And the Karen decides to speak up finally, saying how I'm letting myself go. My body is a temple and I should nurture it with nutritious foods. My boyfriend is going to leave me, blah, 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 blah. That's the conclusion she goes to? I mean, besides being rude and really weird and presumptuous about someone's life, whenever I am behind someone in a store, like a grocery store or maybe the liquor store, and they're buying a bunch of beer, a bunch of wine, or a bunch of ice cream, or a bunch of food, or anything. It's like, oh, hell yeah, they're gonna have a party. Nice. That's the first instinct. You don't think like, oh, they're buying 15 bottles of wine. Man, they're a raging alcoholic. What is this assumption, man? It is insane. I turn to her and say, we just got the news my cousin is dead. We're throwing an ice cream party. No other context, no nothing, just a big smile on my face. Then back to a completely straight face. I seriously must have looked demented or something. She just stared at me with her mouth open. She doesn't say anything else the entire time. We pay and leave. Aw, she is definitely not used to people talking back at her. That is amazing. It's at the point where they don't even know what to say. It's like, oh, someone spoke back at me? This isn't supposed to happen. What? They're supposed to respect their elders, even when we literally tell them their partner's gonna leave them and assume stuff and literally don't understand jokes and insert ourselves in situations that have nothing to do with us and so on and so forth. But respect me, even though I don't respect anyone else. Disgusting. My husband bursts out laughing when we get to the car. He swears up and down to this day I said my cousin is finally dead, but I don't remember saying it that way. He also said the cashier went wide-eyed when I said that. My cousin is finally dead? Oh my god, yeah. Okay, if that's actually what was said, then I could understand a certain level of flabbergasting. Oh my god.
We get home and we had a great time. I took a shower and felt much better. Looked better too. The kids really enjoy the ice cream party. We dressed all the kids up and put on a movie. I think it was The Labyrinth and then The Dark Crystal, since Cara loved those movies. I finally got to try pistachio ice cream and had this fancy coffee kind where the cream was coffee brewed and it was divine. My new favorite. Love you, Cara. You would have loved this coffee ice cream. When I eat it, I think about you.
That is so sweet. Oh my god, I'm gonna cry from the story, man. That is so sweet.
This is how you turn a tragedy into like something wholesome and memorable, and how to like remember people with a smile on your face. This is so beautiful, and I'm so happy to hear the kids enjoyed it as well. That is so nice. That is so nice. Oh my god. I was a crappy customer to our crappy customer. Matched energy. Saw a post here that reminded me of the situation. So I figured I would share it here and give you guys a good laugh. I used to work as a customer service job at a dispensary. We had this one customer who was just a cranky, miserable woman. She would come in acting all sweet, say hi to all of us, ask for a product, and then the show would begin. Here is an example of how these transactions typically went.
This isn't what I ordered. Go get what I ordered.
Employee: ma'am, you specifically requested this eighth. You said you wanted 3.5 grams of Brownie Scout.
No, I said I wanted the pineapple gummies. Go get them now.
We would go get the thing she said she wanted, she would complain about lazy employees, be all smiles again, and then she would pay and leave. And be right back in the store half an hour later with any excuse she could think of. The package was opened, when she got it, the edibles melted together, there was a hair in her jar, the packaging smelled like chlorine, any stupid excuse she could pull from her ass looking for a refund or store credit. She would try and use it every single time she came in, and this is how it went.
That is so frustrating.
Oh my god, and at some point you also know that this lady's just crying wolf to try to get free stuff. You know, there is no way every single package she buys every single time is faulty in some way. You know, after some time you realize that the pattern is just BS. But then one day, I went to a gas station to fill up my car while I was in the next town over. And wouldn't you be damned, she was a cashier at the gas station. So I of course asked for a pack of Marlboro 100s. She grabbed the pack and I said, that's not what I asked for, I asked for the Camels. She grabbed the Camels. That's not what I wanted the Newports. And she sighed and grabbed the Newports. What are you doing? I'm just here to pay for my gas. The long stare she gave me was almost enough to make me regret starting shite. But she knew as an employee she could get into real trouble if she snapped. So she forced a smile, put my cash in the register, and went on my merry way. But I wasn't done. I came back right in 5 minutes later. I looked at her and said, excuse me, I only spent X amount on gas, but you took all my money. Where's my change? She obviously super pissed off at this point, but what was she gonna do about it? That's right, absolutely nothing. So she tried very hard and fails to politely explain to me that the gas cost the amount I'd given her and she couldn't give me the difference. So in a voice that almost sounded exactly like hers, I complained about lazy employees, smiled sweetly, said goodbye and walked out, just like she does. She didn't learn her lesson for a while, came back a few times with her same old routine. Then I recruited a coworker and we both went back to the gas station separately a few times and did our new routine. After trying and failing to file a complaint, she stopped coming in entirely and balance was finally restored. I don't work at the dispensary anymore, but traumatizing her the way she did to my coworkers and I still make me smile years later. That is so fascinating though. Oh my god, I would imagine that someone that works with any sort of customer service, like a cashier or like in the service industry, what have you, would be self-aware enough to not be a Karen yourself. Right? You would think that would be the case because then you have the awareness that you've been on the receiving end of this kind of thing. But no, I guess not. I guess that doesn't apply to some people. But man, that is a satisfying payback story. Oh my god. Yes, indeed, Karen, it's not that fun when you're the one being Karened at now, is it? My ex abused me for years. I made him homeless and ghosted him. Oh no, it's the consequences of your actions. Can we please talk? I know I look crazy and pathetic, but I just don't know where else to turn. I don't even know what I'm gonna say. I just want to hear your voice. Can I take a shower? Can I come get my things? I hope you're doing well. I already packed it. You don't need to come inside for anything. I just want to make sure I have everything. Why are you being so weird about it? Because I don't want to see you, and you don't get that. Dude, chill. What the frick? I just want to make sure I have all my stuff and it ain't wet. I promise you, I don't want to keep any of your poo anyway. And it's nice and dry where I put it. It's all outside the front door. Help yourself. Doors are locked. Why are you being so hostile? I just don't get it. Blorp, please. I'll do anything. I'll give you anything I have. I just want to talk for 5 minutes. I don't want your love.
love or advice. I just want you.
Oh my god, this is so pathetic, man. Missed audio call. Leave me alone.
Frick you, dude. My whole family lives in a parking lot and I just wanted 5 minutes to talk to someone about it. You're being cold as poo. Can I come get my things? I hope you're doing well.
I am, thank you. Are you still planning to come get your other things sometimes? I saw you going down the street the other day. You looked happy, free. It really made me think about all the things I'd done to you and your family. I took the best of your teenage years away from you, and there's nothing I can do to give you your time back. I hope one day you'll be able to forgive me. You can keep what I left. It's the very least I can do. Thank you. I think that's good, though. Don't give an inch. Don't care. Don't feel sorry. If they have treated you that poorly, even kind of admitting to it in the very text they're writing and being sort of aware, but it also sounds like a manipulation strategy, just try to make you feel bad. Yeah, no, this is the best way to deal with it. Just be really cold, very concise, like get your things, done, bam. Because anything else is just going to be abused yet again. Playing gay chicken with the wrong person. The high school I went to was an all-boys Catholic school. I am no longer a boy or Catholic, so there was a lot of grab-ass kind of stuff going on. Ah yes, indeed, the boy Catholic school to trans pipeline. From sophomore to senior year, I was the head manager for the football team, and there was one player who was a jerk. Didn't know when to keep his mouth shut or hands to himself kind of guy. The thing he did that got on my nerves was that he would smack my butt, even though I told him not to. Well, a tradition our team had was during the first team huddle during practice, we would all join hands to say the Our Father prayer. I ended up being next to this guy who continues to hold my hand after the prayer. Something he didn't know was that I came out as bi a week ago. Students were surprisingly chill about it. So I wanted to mess with him. We started walking back to the sidelines nonchalantly, smiling at each other and swinging our arms. About halfway there, I just go, you know I'm bisexual, right? And he immediately stopped smiling and sped walked back to the team. It didn't take long for the team to find out he tried to play gay chicken with a gay person. I could see the other kids laughing at him about it. I never got my butt slapped by him ever again.
Ah, yes, indeed. What a little coward. It reminds me of that beautiful story where it's like, go to a party, play gay chicken with this guy, go home together, become a couple, buy a house together, adopt kids together, have dogs together, buy a car. Oh my god, we've been married for 20 years. If he doesn't chicken out soon, I'm gonna assume he is actually gay. Isn't that beautiful? Although the story didn't go quite as far. How my grandpa got back at his bully 20 years later. In an LA school, my grandpa was tormented by a school bully growing up. Let's call him Billy. Billy would always take my grandpa's lunch money and punk him. My grandpa never forgot Billy or what he looked like. Later on, when my grandpa was in his early 30s, he saw Billy at a local burrito place in town after many years of never seeing him. My grandpa didn't go up to him. Billy never noticed my grandpa, but my grandpa saw him. Later that night, my grandpa was at the bar with his brother, and wouldn't you know it, Billy walked in. The place was packed, so my grandpa offered Billy a seat at his table. Billy had no idea who he was. He just thought he was a nice guy being friendly. They got to talking about their lives and what they do for a living, and my grandpa told Billy that he was a mind reader and that he had done shows in Vegas all over. Billy thought it was cool, so grandpa said, "Yeah, I'll read your mind for $20. I'll tell you what you did earlier today." Billy gave him the $20. My grandpa said, "Think of where you were earlier today." After a few seconds, he said the name of the burrito place, and Billy was blown away. My grandpa then said, "For 20 more, I'll tell you what you ordered." The man paid, and of course my grandpa got it right. Finally, my grandpa said, "For $40, I'll tell you what school you went to for elementary." Billy paid again, and my grandpa got it right. By the end of that night, my grandpa left with around $200, and Billy never knew a thing. That's how my grandpa got back at his school bully, and Billy was none the wiser. This is how you do it. Normalize scamming your own bullies. Literal payback. Oh yes, indeed. I'm usually against scamming people, but this is an exception. They stopped asking for grandchildren real quick. A bit of a short one, I just remember after finding this sub in some YouTube videos. My parents are the ex-super conservative Christian type. They have grown a lot and they're now pretty accepting, but still pretty new to the idea of sexuality and non-nuclear relationships, and the idea that not everybody wants kids. I have 4 siblings, and they implicitly expect typical marriage and lots of grandkids. The whole kit and caboodle, you know how it is. Back around when I turned 18 or 19, somewhere around the age when parents seem to start incessantly reminding you that you're an adult and that grandkids would be wonderful.
At 18? Man, at 18, I was still in high school, and I spent my time, like, playing video games. I mean, I still play video games, but I'm not in high school anymore, at least. Now I read memes. Anyway, I got the standard treatment of exactly that. Every few days, the topic would pop up for,
when are we getting grandkids?
One day, my older sister and I were in the kitchen casually chatting with mom and dad, when, as they seem to do, the topic of grandkids came up again. My sister at the time wasn't very out about the fact that she is a very lesbian person, and I wasn't really out about my preparations for transition and the fact that I was dating guys without them really knowing at the time. We brushed it off as usual, saying we don't really want kids just cause. But that day, for some reason, they kept pushing and insisting we consider marriage and kids when they're like 18, 19. Man, do you know what like the housing market alone looks like for like our generation? Damn. My sister was very clearly uncomfortable at the notion, insisting that she very adamantly did not want marriage at this point in her life. I was in a similar boat. My mother was asking why I wouldn't just consider it. I don't know why. I don't know if I was having a bad morning, if I was hungover, or what. But I looked at my mother dead in the eye with my exasperated morning stare and said, "You're not getting grandkids because I do naughty deeds with men, mother." The room was very, very quiet, apart from a single cackling snort from my sister. My dad attempted a saving throw with, "Well, you just mean that you don't want to get married yet." I proceeded to divert my tired blank stare and said with a perfectly straight face, "No, it's just because I do men." I think at that point the conversation awkwardly turned somewhere entirely different, and I finished my breakfast and went out on errands or something. Nothing was spoken of that morning, and they have never pestered me or my sister about grandkids again. That is absolutely beautiful. Oh my god. Just try not to think about it. I was working my retail job when an elderly customer asked for help choosing a fragrance. I was spraying different perfumes on those little sample cards, and I had my sleeves rolled up. The old lady looked at my heavily tattooed arms and said,
"Oh, honey, how do you think all those tattoos are gonna look when you're my age?"
As I handed her a scented card, I replied, "I have multiple congenital heart defects, so I probably won't ever be your age, and I just try not to think about that." Her grown daughter grabbed her by the arm and pulled her away, saying,
"That's why we don't say those things to people, mother."
No matter how elderly they get, they will always be flexible enough to fit their entire foot in their mouth. Yeah, that is like some pretty impressive social flexibility, if you will. I just picture that. And it's a weird image in my head. Oh my god. And also, to be fair, I have seen tats on older people that look just fine. And even if you think they're gonna age poorly, like, are you really aiming for having a beach bod when you're 75? Like, do you really care? I mean, maybe you do, and then it's fucking awesome, but then you're probably also gonna be like a ripped Gramp who's gonna have cool tattoos anyway, so like, and like a gray beard. Freaking tattooed ripped Gandalf, hell yeah. Well, laddies, lasses, and lassos, I do hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed having you here, you wonderful, beautiful bean. Remember, the Halloween plushies are available in the description for a limited time only this month. Oh my god, don't regret it for the rest of your month. Okay, that was awkward. Anyway, have an amazing rest of your day, you wonderful, beautiful beans, and I will see you in the very near future. Take care. Mwah.